I'm going to do a little video here that talks about Israel caught housing identical twin of Flight 370 in Tel Aviv. You cannot believe the amount of symbolism and the things that have come about because of this trident. It means destruction. It means resurrection of the dead and the rapture. It represents 2 into 1 if you've been following Jonathan Gleck. It represents deception. This is the deception. And New York City, Babylon is the destruction, which is the start of judgment and the rapture and all that stuff. This is all related to this flight. This is just so amazing. And even well, before I get into this, I'm going to move kind of fast. The Pope and Obama met today. And I said in an earlier video that the Christian community and the news media dropped the ball. Well, here's props to Paul Bagley. He said it 2 months ago, and it happened today that they met. And I did another video about the apocalyptic sounds, the cameras sounding like locusts and machine guns. Well, here's something. These are carrots. Obama gave the Pope carrot seeds. That's representative of reward and punishment, also deception, and we'll get into that a little later. Which it's Tel Aviv. A tel means a spring mound. We'll get into that. And a tel is also like in poker. A tel. It's a deception. I mean, this is all related. Reward and punishment, judgment and rapture. And we'll play this clip here real quick.
That since this thing went missing, only one country has jumped the gun, paranoid, and raised their defenses over this missing plane. And that was Israel. Also, Israel, for the first time in history, decided to close down all of their embassies and consulates worldwide. Okay, a lot of suspicious activity. So what I did is I decided to start digging and looking to see if anyone in this world could possibly have their hands on a Malaysian aircraft that looks just like Flight 370. The odds of finding planes that don't work from Malaysia Airlines are kind of slim. There's not a whole lot of these things out there. Malaysia Airlines airplane force isn't massive. So to find one in a hangar that actually works and is just sitting there is highly suspicious. Now, what if I told you that we found exactly that in, of all places on this planet where it could be sitting? It is sitting in Tel Aviv, Israel.
He did mention that there are different serial numbers, so I'll go ahead and close that. This computer is so slow at times. Actually, it's a little netbook. All right, here, of course. All right, Tel Aviv spring mound, spring, vernal, and if you looked at my other videos, Passover can only occur in March. So, and we're past that. And also the first fruits harvest is done by Pentecost, according to Scripture. And the first harvest, new corn, green, is done, usually the harvest is completed, well, it's by the 1st of April. So, and here we have Ezekiel 3:15. Ezekiel 3 is extremely important. That's how they named Tel Aviv. And it says, well, Ezekiel said it's also the 7 thunders. And if you follow 777 AEJ, she talked about the kites and the false checks and the thunderbirds and all that stuff. And it's Ezekiel sat there overwhelmed among them for 7 days. So we have a period of 7 days. And that's coming, and we have, well, I'll get into that. Here's Tel Aviv, human occupation, Tel, and it means spring heel. And here's the meaning of Tel: unconscious action that is thought to betray an attempted deception. Well, it's conscious on their part. Then we get a mound, a particular hill, and they have siege mounds too. We got tumulus, and then we go to tumulus, and it's also a burial ground. And then we get the tumulus, I'm probably mispronouncing that, culture. From that we get the beaker culture, and in the burial mounds they found beer and mead, in which is a honey wine or a honey beer, which is extremely important. From that you get, and I didn't go into that too much as far as websites, but from mead was drunk during the honeymoon. Honeymoon, well, at the new moon. And at the new moon we have one on March 30th, which makes March 31st the new moon festival. And that was related in the book of Samuel with David, how he hid out for 3 days. And he says it was the next day that it was, so they determined it March 30th. And then if you've seen my other video, March 31st looks like the next 9/11. But I found that very interesting. This is all related. And then from that same spring mound you get bell. What is bell? You just turn a bell upside down, and it's a trident, because you have the two sides of the bell and then the middle part, which is the little tinkler. And then even from that you can get all kind of words. Okay, we're back to the Obama thing, the carrot and the stick on this day. And I mean, this basically says what I said earlier: reward and punishment, and it's a deception. And you can just read about what the carrot and the stick means. Then we get to where they determine, remember, Ezekiel 3:15 is how they determined, when I look back with the others living at Abib hill, and it's also spelled Aviv, hill. See, there's hill, mound, and Chebar River. I didn't do a study on that. I sat among them for 7 days, shocked at what had happened to me. And then 7 days after I had seen the brightness of the Lord's glory, said, Ezekiel, son of man, I have appointed you to stand watch for me for the people of Israel. And spiritual Israel is all believers, which includes the Gentiles, everyone else. All the believers are spiritual Israelites. You can look that up. Paul said that. And so listen to them and warn them. So there's a 7 days, and this also sounds like the Day of Atonement. I haven't gone too deep into that. I don't want this video to be too long. But we all know in Revelation where John eats the scroll, the little book, and then it's supposed to warn people, and they're stubborn and stuff. I mean, this is, if you listen to 777 AEJ's videos, she mentions that the kites, the seven thunders, the thunderbirds, which are birds of prey, and kites are also a deception. They're false checks, in which is the third seal, and I just noticed this. Tastes sweet as honey. Honeymoon. Well, it's going to be sweet for some and bitter for others. So there's your reward and reward and punishment. But that's also going to be what the third seal and the falling of the stock market, the false checks and so forth. So let me go back to this. I'll try to end, well, beyond that again. I'll just go ahead and end the video and hope I get a good thumbnail for the video. Look up, our salvation is definitely near, and there's just much more to this study. I could go hours on this subject.